Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining our webinar today. My name is Margaret Margle, and I am the president of the Women in Defense Liberty Chapter. Our chapter is a professional organization for women and men working in the defense industry across the greater Philadelphia region. Our mission is to provide a dynamic environment for personal and professional growth through networking, mentoring, career development, and educational programs. Our Lunch and Learn webinar series is designed to help propel your personal and professional growth goals. We cover such topics as work-life balance, leadership, work style, personal health and wellness, communication skills, personal branding, and more. Today's webinar topic covers networking and building lasting relationships. This informative presentation delves into the importance of networking, building lasting relationships, and tying it all together. At this time, I would like to present our speaker, Shelby Kopp. Shelby Kopp is the Corporate Facilities Security Officer for Sabre Systems Incorporated, where she manages the company's industrial security program and regional field security officers. Shelby is also a senior enlisted leader, Chief Petty Officer with over 20 years of combined U.S. Naval military service with both active and reserve duty time. Shelby is an experienced leader and is very active in several organizations, including the Women in Defense Liberty Chapter Communications Chair, the Joint Base McGuire-Dix Lakehurst Chief Petty Officer Mess Fundraising Chair, the Battleship New Jersey Chief Petty Officer Exhibit Board Member, American Legion Post 148 Social Media Coordinator, the Society of Industrial Security Professionals NCMS Mentor Chair Secretary, and an ambassador for the Travis Manion Foundation. Shelby is originally from Illinois and resides in Langhorne, Pennsylvania with her husband and 2 sons. Please welcome Shelby.
Well, thank you, Margot. Welcome to our second webinar of our Women in Defense webinar series. And thanks for taking your lunch hour to join us today to talk a little bit about networking and building lasting relationships. So, what we're going to talk about today is we're going to define networking. We're going to talk a little bit about building lasting relationships. And then we're going to close with how to tie it all together. So, let's kick it off with defining networking. It simply means building relationships, whether it's professional or personal. Networking is about meeting and establishing mutually beneficial connections. And networking is a deliberate activity to build and reinforce and maintain relationships. So I understand that this isn't rocket science. However, it can seem a little overwhelming or intimidating to attend a quote unquote networking event. So just know the more you do it, the better you get. Practice always makes perfect. And when you're thinking about your professional networking, think about where you are in your career. So, are you a young professional? Are you new to a field? Are you a transitioning military member? Are you trying to grow into management? Or maybe you're just comfortable where you are. So, now that we've defined networking, I'm going to ask that we get to know ourselves a little bit. So, in order to do that, you can leverage some tools. Some tools such as the Johari window. So this may seem like kind of an overwhelming tool, but I'm going to go through it step by step. So the Johari window was actually developed in 1955 by 2 psychologists, Joseph Luft and Harrington Ingram. Hence the Johari window. It's a combination of their names. So there's 4 blocks in the Johari window. The key is you want to expand your arena block, but I'm going to go through each block individually. So the arena is the one on the top left. It's what's known to others and known to yourself. So for instance, if I'm walking around in my uniform, it's going to be known to myself and known to others that I'm in the military. So the next block over to the right is your blind spot. It's not known to self, but known to others. Now, this is often the perception of you. So in order to expand your arena and shrink your blind spot, you have to ask for constructive criticism or feedback from your peers, from your supervisors, from folks that surround you often. Ask for feedback. So the next block down is your facade. It's not known to others, but known to self. So, say for instance, I have a fear of heights. I know that. Others may not know that, but how they may get to know that if we're in the arena is if we go to a skyscraper and people see my fear. The next block is the unknown. So, what's not known to self and what's not known to others. So, say I had never been in a skyscraper and I didn't know I was afraid of heights. That wasn't known to me or others. So, that's in my unknown block. So, now that we've gone through the Johari window, I want to talk a little bit about some other tools that may assist you with getting to know yourself. The DISC assessment. This gets to know yourself because you determine your personality type, and you can also be aware of other people's personality types if they do the DISC assessment as well. This helps with your interaction with them. You have the Myers-Briggs personality types, and then you have Strength Finder. All of these are online, and most of them have free options. So, okay, now we've gotten to know ourselves, and I want to ask that you stay true to yourself. So, I'm going to ask that you think about 4 questions before you get into your networking, let's call it your networking opportunities. So, first, I ask, what motivates you? So, a few things that motivate me is my service to others. I like to also have actions and then I like to see the result. Some people may desire to have praise, or some people may like to see the joy it brings to others. So think about what motivates you. The next question is, what do you need to work on? So for me, I can be a little impulsive. I sometimes like to get too into the weeds on things. I oftentimes talk too much. And I also need to work on my motivation at times. Some people may have to have a more positive perspective. I oftentimes have too positive of a perspective. So when I get any sort of roadblock or hurdle, it sometimes brings my motivation down. So think about what you need to work on. And you may have to ask others. This may be in your blind spot on what you need to work on. So the next question is, what type of people do you want to network with? Or what type of people do you want to surround yourself with? Personally, I like to surround myself with people who challenge me. I don't like to be the smartest person in the room. I also want somebody who's going to lift me up, but I also want people that are going to support and give tough love when needed. So, next, you need to think about what type of people you want to surround yourself with. And then finally, what career changes, if any, do you desire? So I understand that this may be difficult. Where do you see yourself in 3, 5, or even 10 years? I know for you moms out there, I have a difficult time even deciding what I'm going to have for dinner that night, let alone to think about what I'm going to be doing in 3, 5, or 10 years. But these are 4 questions that I want you to think about and allow yourself the opportunity to get to know yourself before you go on your networking escapade. So now that we have defined networking, we know ourselves. Now I'm going to show you or talk a little bit about how to build your network. So before we go through a few of the opportunities for you to build a network, I want you to think about banking. The earlier and the more you invest, the more you can withdraw. So if you think about that in your networking journey, then it will only build you for success. So the first thing you can do is you can join professional associations. The first way to do that is whatever career field you're in, you can look for a professional association that tailors itself to that. So, for instance, I'm in NCMS, which is a security networking group. I'm also in Women in Defense because I'm a woman in the defense industry. So, in both of those groups that I'm a part of, I've joined committees, I've chaired boards, or I've joined a board position. I'm active in those professional associations. The next thing you can do to build your network is be active in your community, whatever your community may be. That could be your church, it could be your American Legion, it could be um, a Rotary Club. You could find a nonprofit that you are passionate about. And if you're active in those things, then you automatically, from going to those community events, you have a common ground with the folks that are there. So you have the ability to, the next thing, how to build your network is build those relationships. You also need to take time to make real connections. So when you go to your association meetings or your community events, you make time to sit down and talk to somebody and have a real connection with that person. Now, after you've joined your professional associations or you're active in your community or you've built those relationships and you've made time to make those real connections, you have to maintain the network. It's kind of like gardening. You have to go out every morning and every night and water those plants in order for them to grow. The same thing with banking. You have to make the deposits to have those withdrawals. So maintain your network. The next thing to build your network is to make yourself useful or be solution oriented. If you make yourself useful and you make yourself one of those go to people, you're going to be magnetic. People are going to want to surround themselves with you. So now that we've talked about building our network, defining networking, and knowing ourselves, the next thing we have to do is remember why networking is important. You're going to be able to capitalize on folks' fresh ideas, maybe some advancements in your future. You're going to get advice because you're going to surround yourself with people that are going to build you up and also give you some constructive criticism. You're going to build confidence. You're also going to gain a different perspective because you're going to diversify your network. So today's studies show that up to 80% of jobs are never advertised and they are filled with word of mouth. So chew on that a little bit, folks. Only 20% of jobs are posted. So the bigger your network, the more word of mouth you're going to have. And we've all heard it time and time again. Once you get your foot in the door, it's not what you know, it's who you know. Now, of course, you have to follow it with your skill sets, but just to get your foot in the door, it's about who you know. So the bigger your network, the bigger your door. So now we need to talk a little bit about building lasting relationships. So in order to do this, you need to identify your relationship needs, where you are in your life, and how to find like-minded or a diverse relationship. But wherever you go, your relationship needs will change. So if you're a young professional, you're going to want to network with other young professionals and probably some folks that are slightly above you so you can have some stretch goals. As we said before, make time to build those relationships. Now, after you have the relationships, you need to appreciate those. Now, in all of this, you're going to inevitably develop your people skills. But just take note when you attend these events, whether it's a community event or a professional networking event, or you're going along your way at work. Note the people skills that other folks allude to and Develop your own. Take things onto your own tool bag. Build trust along the way. If you are the go-to person and you're constantly able to deliver results from things that you've stated that you're going to do, you're building trust along the way. Stay positive. Nobody wants to be around a negative Nancy. So as long as you're maintaining positivity, people are going to be drawn towards you. Now, be respectful of your time and be respectful of other people's time. If you're building relationships with other young mothers or people who have large families, you're not going to call them during dinner time. Maybe you throw them a text and say, hey, when's the best time to grab coffee? Or maybe they need a drink on a Friday night after dealing with the family all week. So just be respectful of folks' time. Be welcoming to diversity. It's inevitable that you're going to find people that don't agree with you all the time. And you need to welcome that. You need to allow the opportunities to have a diverse network in case you need to lean on them for other ideas. Maintain open communication. If you're honest with others, you're going to not only build trust, but you're going to open the doors for new networking opportunities. And have mindfulness. Be responsible if you do fall short on a deadline or you need a little bit more time to work for something or you made a mistake. We're not perfect. Maintain mindfulness and you're only going to build that trust and that relationship because they're going to have a mutual respect for you. So, we've talked about building relationships, maintaining those relationships, investing early. Now we're going to tie it all together. So, we build relationships all the time. If you invest early, it'll pay off. Pick up the phone, have those conversations. Get some coffee or grab a drink with someone. Try a new restaurant. We all need to eat to survive, so why not do it with somebody you enjoy? Networking should be fun. I know I'm getting an eye roll from all my introverts, but if you're networking with like minded folks and people who also are introverts, then you are all in the same bucket. And if you do the right things for the right reasons, success will come. So, on the right hand side of the slide, there's a picture of my grandfather. He served in the Navy during World War II, and he was also a radio broadcaster. And he closed every radio broadcast with, "This is Jim Feather reporting live. The best time to make friends is before you need them." So I want you to chew on that a little bit. And if you go day to day making friends, then this isn't a chore, it's an opportunity. And you're also building your network. But when you actually need someone, they're already a friend and you're not putting them out. So just remember the best time to make friends is before you need them. So, from the bottom of my heart, I want to thank you for your time today. And I want to leave you with a parting thought from the wise Betty White. I just make it my business to get along with people so I can have fun. It's that simple. So, we're going to stand by for a little bit for questions, and you can put those in the chat box to the right.